Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first webinar, first in a series of webinars, actually, that we're going to be running, just covering off everything ALF. Appreciate that there's probably a few people on here that have probably seen a few things of ALF before, but the idea of today's is we're going to go through some of the triggers and some of the things that you can set up and how you can prepare your account so that basically ALF is doing the work for you. I don't know if everybody has had the opportunity to do some of the things that we're going to cover today. So we'll start from scratch, go through those things. It's not going to last too long, so don't worry. This isn't going to be one of those old webinars where we used to do an hour-long training session. The idea is just go through some key areas and make sure that ALF is working for you, and then you only really need to be logging into ALF to actually find the information that has been presented, so you guys can crack on with doing what you're doing. So the aim of today then is, like I say, we're going to look at those triggers. So we're going to start by setting up your profile. We're going to have a look at your account overview, an area that very few people go into, and an area that actually has quite a lot of useful information and useful triggers that you can set up. Afterwards, you can see it's already front and center at the moment. We're going to take a look at the daily news and how we get that. We'll scroll down. We'll have a look at the area called our hot leads. And then once we've set that up, we'll actually have a look at some of those hot leads. We're then going to have a look at setting up an email alert. So the idea of that is that you can maybe identify the people that you're keen to get in touch with. So it could be a prospect that you're already targeting. It could be someone that you're already working with. You just want to stay abreast of any changes that are going on there. And then after that, we're also going to have a look at a way that you can actually search within ALF maybe when you're not in ALF. So, you could be on campaign. As you can see, I've already got that tab open. And you might be wanting to find out who the marketing director is of a particular company. You can do that really easy using our Chrome extension. So I'm just going to give it one more minute because there are quite a few people registered that haven't yet logged in. Once they have, we'll get cracking and we'll go through that. Also take this opportunity just to say, this is the first in a series of about 4 or 5 webinars. So we're not going to cover off everything, but if there are some real key things that you do wish to find out, or maybe perhaps you want a one-on-one session and you want to be able to go through the whole of ALF, we absolutely can do that. So it'll be either with myself, Michael Kirkham, Customer Success Manager, or it would be with your account manager, and we can sort all of that. Right, so it looks like most people are here, which is great. So we've got a lovely turnout for today. Hope everyone's been enjoying the wonderful first few days of spring. It's been absolutely lovely down here in Leytonstone in East London. So I hope it's the same for everybody else all around the country. Right, so like I said, today is all about triggers. It's all about setting ALF up so that we can send you the information, or we can highlight the information that is going to draw your attention to the accounts that maybe are having changes, or something has recently happened that is going to essentially act as a trigger for you guys getting in touch. So the first thing that I want to do is just jump up here into your account. Now, I don't think very many people have clicked into here, because most people get an alert when they first activate their login and it says, do you want to receive this, that, or the other? Quite a lot of people dismiss that. And I can kind of understand why. We all receive quite a few emails each day. Most of the time, deleting those because there's almost too much coming in. Well, what we've decided is to give you a little bit more flexibility and actually be able to choose the kind of information that we send to you. So if you can, jump into your account. You'll see that we'll highlight a few things here. So the usual stuff: who are you, what company do you work for, what's your username, what's your email address? You're going to know that. But if you've forgotten your password and you're already logged in, interestingly, this does happen quite a lot, you've got an option to reset that from within here. So that's one thing that you can do. But the main thing that's in here is the ability to switch on or off the emails that we're sending to you. So by default, you'll be set up to receive our daily newsletter. So most of you have been receiving that every day now. If you've not been receiving it and you haven't switched it off, let me know, because you should be. You've got the daily newsletter, which is basically highlighting some of the key changes that my colleague Natalie, who's on our research team, has identified as being some of the most popular, or potentially the most popular articles that that have been put on the platform. You've got the weekly, which is quite different actually. The daily one is those key individuals. The weekly newsletter is covering off a bit more. So it's covering off the campaigns that are going on. Maybe things in a little bit more detail. It might have information about spend changes or spend trends or that kind of stuff. That goes out every week. And then recently we added the ability to switch on these what we call tailored newsletters. So we've got one which is pitches and wins, we've got campaign news, product launches, FMCG, retail and fashion, and then entertainment and leisure. So they're all very different. Pitches and wins is covering off, well, literally the pitches and wins. So the appointments of agencies, those that might be being reviewed, who's currently pitching for what business and all of that. That's a very popular one at the moment, actually. So if you haven't got it, it's probably worth selecting that one. Campaign news almost does what it says in the tin. So what campaigns are going on, what products have been launched, and then the others are fairly self-explanatory as well. I definitely switch those on because we are going to be highlighting key changes going on, and change comes new business, and obviously retaining business or being aware of business that you might be losing. So switch those on. Your access level, so that'll just alert you to how many advertisers you've got. As you know, we've got 6,000 advertisers in total, which is around 18,000 brands. There are different access levels, so it's good to be aware what you've got, because sometimes if you're searching for someone and it says it's outside your access level, it makes it very easy for you just to get in touch and say, Mike, Naz, Jason, Phil, Sam, can you help me out? I'm missing this profile. It's because it's outside of my access level. The odd one or two we'll be happy to help with. Account manager, well, for me, that is me. So it's a bit of a feedback loop almost there, but for you guys, that will be your account manager. So if you're ever unsure, it does happen, jump into here and then you can reach out to your account manager if you've got any problems. And then finally, you've got your subscription end date, because we appreciate that it's not always necessarily communicated throughout the businesses that have got a subscription. So if you want to know when that's coming to an end, maybe you can give your colleague a nudge or something if it's coming to an end and they've not renewed it and you need it. It's worth being aware that that's there. So yeah, I just wanted to draw your attention to that, because that's the way that you're going to be able to switch on and off the emails that you receive from us. So then if we just jump back to the homepage, we've then got our daily news. The daily news is collated by my colleague Natalie. So Natalie's on our research team, and what she's doing is she's taking a look at 32 or so different trade press sources every day, and she's having a look for anything that is relevant to a brand or an agency that we research. And if she finds something that is going to be relevant, then what she'll do is she'll summarize it, pop it on here, and then these will be highlighted on the front page. So what you'll see though is that we've got about 6 or 8 in each individual category here. There are more articles per category, but it's just that these are the most popular. For example, we've got Halfords acquiring Universal Tire. Again, that could be a trigger for someone that's been recently trying to prospect Halfords. We've got Man City tapping Socios for their fan tokens, or we've got Sky and BBC splitting their top tier women's football TV rights. We've got the campaigns, we've got the accounts and pitches, and then we've got some key people moves as well. The second half of the dashboard is we've got our hot leads. So this is an area that I really do want to just focus in on now and make sure that you guys have got set up. Because I think for most of you, your front page is probably looking a little bit sparse. It's probably looking quite different to mine. You've got the news, but you'll probably find that the second half is fairly blank. You won't have anything here, and you won't have anything here unless you have already set them up. So what you need to do is, first thing is just determine what you want to be alerted to. What's the key trigger for you that is going to enable you to reach out to either a new brand, business, it could be an agency, it could be a contact. What needs to have changed for that to be relevant to you? And it's really easy. All we've got to do is jump across and select hot leads settings. So you can see that I've already gone through and I've already got a few selected because I use this fairly regularly. I am fairly vanilla with what I've selected. You'll see it is all automotive because that's basically my interest. But what you want to do is just have a think about what it is that's going to help you. So we've got the option of selecting advertisers or brands or agencies. So if you select advertisers or brands, the way that all of the information is linked on ALF, it's pretty much through the brand. So if you're interested in a particular brand and the agency changes, you will be notified of any agency change. If you select agencies on its own, you'll just be notified of any agency change. So it's really important to make sure, are you interested in the brand itself and the changes associated with it, or are you interested in an agency and just their associated changes? So it's good just to be aware of that when you're selecting those. You can select both, but I think, usually you find that, if you're a media owner, you're generally targeting advertisers and brands and their associated agencies. Again, media owners will also be targeting agencies, but it's ever so slightly different. You've then got the option to select those particular triggers or those associated triggers with the advertiser or brand. So I've selected that I'm interested in if there's a brand that's new to ALF or a brand that's recently been in the news. I've not actually selected that I'm interested in new advertisers, because I'm really interested just in those individual brands rather than their parent companies. I've also then selected if there's an advertiser that's got a new agency, an advertiser that doesn't currently work with an agency, or an advertiser that might be reviewing its agency relationships. On the right-hand side, I've also then said, in terms of people, I'm interested if there's a new contact associated with any of these types of companies, or perhaps a person's role has changed or they might have moved. So what will happen there is, depending on what you select in number 3, if you selected, like I have, say, automotive marketing directors, marketing managers, if I've got this ticked, it will also bring those people in. Or if their role has changed, it will also highlight those people also. So scrolling down, you'll then see that we've got the particular market sectors and job responsibilities that you might be interested in. So for me, like I said at the beginning, I'm fairly vanilla. I've gone with automotive, just the one market sector. That's all of interest to me. And then in terms of job responsibilities, I've gone with the usual suspects in terms of, key decision makers. I've gone for marketing directors, marketing managers, social media marketing. Now you can select up to 10 of these. So all you've got to do is click into it, select the individual sectors that you want. And indeed, it's the same with the job responsibilities. Select those, and then we'll start sending you notifications and highlighting key changes with these contacts. Just a little heads up on the job responsibilities, the way that we operate. So when we're actually doing all of our research and we're in touch with these contacts directly, what we'll do, or the companies rather, what we'll do is we'll highlight what a particular person is responsible for. So if someone has a fairly standard, straightforward job title like a marketing manager, well, that's easy. Obviously they'll be tagged as marketing manager, but they may also have some other responsibilities. So it might be that the marketing manager is also responsible for a bit of their PR, or also their sponsorship or trade wholesale and export. We will tag all of those individuals. And it also goes the same for someone that might have a really ambiguous job title as well. So if their job title is perhaps customer director, as there used to be one many years ago over at John Lewis, he was actually their marketing director, but it wasn't necessarily that clear from his job title. Well, what we will have done is tag that person. So if indeed a change does occur and you've got marketing director selected, you'll know about that person changing as well. You've got media channel of interest. So, if you're working in press or in radio, outdoor, digital, TV, anything like that, you might want to be alerted to any changes related to their media spend. And if you select that there, you will be made aware of any changes to any of those associated media channels. And if you are interested in the spend changing, it's worth just being aware that you can set some changes here. So if you say, look, I want to know if a particular spend channel has increased or perhaps one in particular has decreased, you can know about that. And you might have just received an email while we're on this call, actually, just letting you know that the latest spend from Nielsen, which we supply through ALF, is going on the system. I think it's live from tomorrow. So if you set up some of these triggers, you'll actually start to see some of these changes appearing tomorrow. So once you've selected all of that, just make sure that you click save. It does happen. People spend, a couple of minutes doing this and then wonder why it's not actually making any recommendations. Make sure you click save. And then when we jump back to the dashboard, you'll then see that we've got some of the hot leads displayed here. So we're only actually going to display 8, which for some people might be a little bit challenging. You're like, right, I actually think that there must be more changes going on that I could have been made aware of. And absolutely, you're right. You can see all of those. All you've got to do is just click on hot leads, and we'll do that in a sec. But before I do, Just going to highlight some of the hot leads that I'll think are relevant to me. So Ford RNLI Tide Tracks. Okay, so I'm guessing that's related to the Lifeboat Institute. That brand has recently been added to ALF, so that's why that's appearing. We've got Annabelle over at Zipcar. She's recently been added to ALF, so in the last month or so, as consumer marketing manager. So double bubble there for me. She's marketing manager at an automotive company, so it's exactly what I want. We've then got Thomas, who's CMO over at Hyundai, and then we've got a couple of companies here. So we can see Motors, because they've got a new agency, and same with Motor Easy, they don't have an agency. So all of those have seen changes recently, so they could indeed be opportunities for us. Now, what you need to do though is if you just click into hot leads, once this loads, it will bring up all of those that fit that criteria. So while we only had 8 on the front page there, you can see there are indeed 9 contact changes that fit my criteria, 6 advertiser changes, and 2, in fact, I just need to turn these filters off, and then 6 advertisers and 2 brands. So, depending on the day, there could be more, there could be fewer, but it really does depend on the day. So those are our hot leads. Definitely recommend setting those up because, like I say, most people will probably log into ALF and they're logging in with the intentions of having a look at a particular company. But if you've got these triggers set and you log in and you see these, you're like, oh, you know what? I didn't know there was this new brand that between Ford and RNLI, or I didn't know that Motors.co.uk had got a new agency. Wasn't actually intending to reach out to them, but now I might. Well, it's effectively a sort of a free lead, isn't it? So it's worth just being aware of those. We're not going to cover off lead lists in this session. That's all part of our advanced search, which we're actually going to cover in the next session. We're aiming to keep these, to about 25, 30 minutes at most, because we don't want people going to sleep. So lead lists, if you're interested in that, I will cover off in the next session. Otherwise, if you want to know about it sooner, just give me a shout and we can go through that. However, one thing that I do want to jump onto now is how we set up an email alert, which is another way of us drawing your attention to a change that has occurred in ALF. And it just means that you can jump onto it and actually get working on something sooner, rather than maybe waiting until you eventually discover it, by which point somebody else has probably already got in there and have probably got their business. So we're going to keep it the same theme. Let's go into Volkswagen. You'll see that we are searching across the 4 different type of profile here. Don't be alarmed when you see that it says no results found under a particular category. It's not that there aren't any agencies associated with VW. It's just that there's not an agency called Volkswagen. So yeah, don't be alarmed when you see that. And let's jump into the advertiser. Now, let me just quickly reference that actually, because I haven't actually mentioned that. There is a key difference between advertiser and brand on ALF and the way that we display things. The advertiser is naturally the actual parent company, so VW Group, and then the brand could be the individual. So it could be, Polo, it could be Golf, it could be Phaeton, all that kind of thing. All the different brands that we've got that sit within that. Same with like Unilever and I don't know, mayonnaise, Hellman's mayonnaise, and Coleman's mustard. But this is the button that I want to draw your attention to. It is add alert. So you've got the option of being alerted to any change on this profile, either daily, weekly, or monthly. So don't worry, we're not going to spam you. Really, the idea is we want you to go through ALF and set up as many of these as possible across a number of different profiles. But we also appreciate that people then think, I'm going to receive a ton of emails from ALF. You're not, don't worry. What's actually going to happen is if you set these up daily, you're only going to get an email from us if there's a change. So we're not going to send you just the same thing every day. And if there are, say, 10 changes across 5 different companies, it'll only ever be 1 email that contains all of those alerts. So you can almost think of it as a little bit of a digest for you, a daily, a weekly, or a monthly digest of all the companies that you're interested in. So if you set that up and click save, that's now done. And what's going to happen is if there's a new contact there, maybe there's a news article, maybe, as we can see here, VW appoint agency after lengthy digital pitch, we will send you that information. And it means that sometimes, as great as it is for you and not so great for us, you don't have to log into ALF because it's not that relevant to you that day. Whereas something else might come through, then it's relevant, then you jump onto it. So it's all about just us trying to help you, I suppose, make your workflow more efficient. So that's set up. Now the thing is that's now set up for anything that happens from now. It's not, historical, but there is a way of actually having a look at what historical changes have happened once you set up that alert. Because, if I am now going to prospect VW today, I'm going to go through this profile, which we'll cover off in another session. But I'll go through the profile and then I'll be like, well, actually, has anything recently changed that I can sort of take advantage of? Yes, absolutely. All you've got to do is click into email alerts on the left-hand side. Now, I have quite a lot of email alerts set up. So I've actually maxed out the number of email alerts that I can be shown in one period of time, which actually is quite helpful because what I want to show you is the historical stuff. So you've got some buttons up here. Reset date range. So the default is always going to be this week or last week. You can select the date range though. So if I say, right, well, actually, I'm keen of finding out what changes happen to all these companies in the run up to Christmas. Simple. All I've got to do is choose that date range. So I'll choose the 1st of December, obviously, to the 31st of December, and then I'll click submit. And then just like that, it's going to have a look at all the companies that I've got alerts set up on and tell us what's happened. So we can see that what we've got at accessibility marketing, Anne Brocklehurst was appointed account director. Leanne is now designer, and Jenny is senior account manager, amongst a number of other things that have happened there. So we've got some trade press articles, we've got a number change, we've got company detail changes, all that kind of thing. So it's interesting just to be able to actually identify what changes have gone on. Are these going to help me? Yes, no, don't know. It's all that. So you've got that. And of course, if you want to see if there's anything about a particular company, all you've got to do is just do a quick search in here. So we can type in, say, Addison Lee, and we can see that Addison Lee is no longer looked after by Unique. It's actually looked after by Syzygy. I'm assuming that I've pronounced that correctly. And it's also no longer looked after by, well, it's Unique again, actually. So it's the taxi app now. So it just gives you that little bit of knowledge about those individual companies, brands, contacts before you reach out. So you don't have to wait for things to happen. You can actually also have a look at things that have happened. To make it a little bit easier for those that have actually got the export feature as well, you do have the option of clicking that button just to download all of that and handle that offline. Now I'm just going to quickly scoot back. If you accidentally set up an alert, or maybe you're receiving too many alerts, go into the company, then all you've got to do is click update alert. You can either change the frequency to weekly, monthly, or to daily if it's not already, or you can say none, click save, and then you're not going to receive any more from us about that company. So that's been successfully removed. Right, so those are some of the key triggers. Those are some of the key things that you can do to get ALF working for you. There is one more thing that I want to show you, and then we will basically wrap up there. But it is a Chrome extension. Now, I appreciate not everyone's got Chrome, but Chrome is great for their plugins and everything and extensions. We can actually make it possible that you don't have to even be logged in, or don't have to have the ALF tab open at least, to find out information about companies that you're interested in. So I'll just quickly show you that. If you're in Google, just quickly do a quick search for the Chrome store. We'll jump into there, do a search for us. So ALF Insight, select that. And then all we've got to do is add this to Chrome. Yes, we will add that. And then that's now been added to Chrome. So what that means is whenever we're on the likes of, say, Campaign or anything like that, we might be scrolling through, we might be like, oh, you know what, actually, I'd be really keen to actually get in touch with these guys. Well, if you just simply take something simple like Ford, right click, and you can perform a quick search, that will take you straight through to ALF, and it's already done the search for you. So it's removing some of the steps. You don't need to go to alfinsight.com, log in, go to search, and then type it in. It's just there. Alternately, you don't necessarily have to do it that way. You could just be on any page, you could just be still on Google or something. Well, all you've got to do is if you actually click ALF Quick Search, you could then do a quick search there as well. So we can say John Lewis, go, bam, there you go. It's got all of the search results for John Lewis. So whether you want John Lewis the company, John Lewis the brand, or even John Lewis himself over at Sofas and Stuff, you've got that. So that's basically it for today's session. Like I said, it's intended to be quite a short one, or relatively short. I think 26 minutes is still fairly long in my opinion. But the idea is just to get those triggers set up. So that's your newsletters, your hot leads, your email alerts, set them up on the companies that you're interested in, the companies that you're wanting to prospect or already do work with, and then let us do the work. We will notify you of any changes that are happening there. And then if there are changes, you can log in and you can action it. That's really that simple. And then, yeah, like I say, the last thing that we did there was the quick search Chrome extension. Just shortens your workflow a little bit. But that's it for today. There'll be two more over the next month or so webinars that we're doing, and then there'll be a couple more after that. They'll be going through some of the more advanced stuff, such as the advanced search, saving leads, and indeed exporting leads. And then there'll be one right at the end, which is our reports one, which honestly, I think that one's great. Number of reports that are worth looking at. We'll cover that off at a later date. If you do want a one-on-one session, do just give us a shout. We'll be more than happy to do it. All right, take care. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.